Welcome back to Kimelia. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what's next. And the reason why we're going to talk about what's next is because I had been looking at quite a few videos where people are talking about Joann Fabrics, bankruptcy, and the stores closing. Now, I didn't want to talk about that. The reason why I decided to make a video about what's next is because I started seeing a lot of negative videos. Not so much about Joann Fabrics, but about people wondering where to buy their fabrics next, or any of their crafting equipment next. And I found it strange that the viewers are the ones that's actually being attacked. So before we get into this video, let me say, if you are new here, welcome. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and view my channel. Please hit like, don't forget to subscribe and turn your notification bell on so that you will be notified when I do another video. And if you are a returning subscriber, as always, thank you. You know, I love you and appreciate your support. What got to me was one particular video that I watched. And I'm not going to say the content creator's name because it's not important. But she was literally degrading people for not supporting local craft stores. And that's what actually caught my attention. For those who don't know, I have literally lived in every time zone in this country, and now I'm currently living outside of the mainland. And it really bothered me because I lived in Wilmington, Delaware my entire life. I am now well over 50. I'm in my mid-50s now. And we hadn't had any local fabric stores since I was probably about 20 to 25. We had 2 local fabric stores because those stores are the stores that my grandmother used to shop at because she was a sewist as well, the one who taught me. And those 2 stores closed by the time, like I said, I was 25. And so there was no local stores. So at this point now, if you was living in Wilmington, Delaware, you had to either go to the fabric district in Philadelphia or all the way up to New York. Now, granted, Manhattan is only a 2.5-hour drive from Wilmington, but you still had to travel to get to a local store, the fabric district, I should say. Because we had none. We didn't have anywhere in no other surrounding cities of Wilmington, Delaware. So what do you say to me who didn't have a local store? Now, I then went from Chicago, then I went to the Midwest, which is Chicago. Now, living in Chicago, there were multiple local fabric stores. So I was always like a kid in a candy shop, you know, because there were so many local fabric stores. Now, let's keep this in mind. I'm about to say something that's going to be a hard pill for some people to swallow. But those local fabric stores did not cater to us melanated people. That's just the truth, or so-called black folks. Those fabric stores were usually always owned by Hindus and or the Latin community. And those fabrics in those stores mainly catered to those communities. And so people like me had to scavenge through material to find something that fit my aesthetic. So that's another thing that people don't like to talk about when it comes to these local stores. Now, then I moved to what is the mountain region, living in Park City, Utah. There was not one local fabric store in my area, and there was none in the surrounding downtown Salt Lake City area. So then I'm again once forced to shop online or When I go home, then I can go to Joann Fabrics because, yes, we had a Michaels that did introduce material, but the material that they had in that particular store was only licensed material. We didn't have that much of any regular cotton or even denim or anything else. It was mainly licensed material, and that licensed material was mainly for making blankets. So now I then moved. I lived on the West Coast, but that was when I was younger. But then I moved back to the East Coast, and I was living in Somerville, South Carolina. Now, many of you heard me say Charleston, and that's because I didn't want you to know I was living in Somerville, but Charleston was the closest major city from me. And so, but I lived in Somerville. Somerville, yes, had, the Joann Fabrics. It had the Michaels. And I think it had a Hobby Lobby, if I'm not mistaken. I'm almost certain it had a Hobby Lobby. But it didn't have any local fabric stores. And so this is what I'm talking about. So we have to stop thinking that just because there is something in your area and something that you're used to, that doesn't mean it applies to everyone across this country. We don't live in a cookie cutter country where everything is the same in every city, state, and county, because it's not. So I literally lived in 3 cities where there were no local fabric stores at all. So I had to depend on Joann Fabrics. I had to depend on Michaels, Hobby Lobby, and online stores because I never stopped sewing. So with all that being said, yes, big stores close, big box stores close, and we know this. A lot of it has to do with money. It's not so much that the store filed bankruptcy because they didn't have the money for the stores to stay open. That's hardly ever the case if you know anything about bankruptcy. Most cases is mainly because they couldn't pay their taxes, more so than not being able to pay the mortgage on the rent on the building. But whatever the case may be, or they just got into so much debt that they just wanted to liquidate that debt. And our nice little government allows these big box companies to file bankruptcy, but won't let the little people file bankruptcy to get a fresh new start. But that's neither here or there. The fact remains is that we have big box closings, all the time. So many of you may remember John Hancock's. When that closed, was it a big loss for us sewists? It absolutely was a big loss. And we were sitting back at that moment saying to ourselves, what's next? Where are we going to get our fabric from? What are we going to do? Because even back then, when John Hancock's closed, I was living in Wilmington, Delaware. I still didn't have a local fabric store. So now I'm panicking. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Because at the time, I had a small boutique. I was at that time sewing for the church or people in the church. I was sewing, robes, suits, lap scarves, face sweat cloths, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, excuse me, what am I going to do now to continue in my business? Not only that, I was sewing all my work clothes, my work suits. I was sewing all my church suits. I was sewing all my summer dresses, my bathing suits, my shorts and tops. I was sewing all of that. I didn't buy clothes from the store, which is why I'm struggling now to buy clothes from the store, because I've been making my own clothes for so long. And so, I was in a panic mode as well. So I understand that people are in a panic mode, but it's no right or reason to make these videos telling people we wouldn't be in a predicament we now are in now if you were shopping at your local stores. So what I decided to do is I'll give you some of the stores that I've either shopped from, excuse me, y'all, or stores that I had been doing my research on even before the first announcement of the first bankruptcy. And so you're going to see me look down at some of these stores, and I'll talk talk about these stores, not in detail. I'm not going to show no pictures. I'm not going to go into no details because you can do the research for yourself and see what's best for yourself. But what I will do is I'll drop the links in the description box for you to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, let me preface this. If you are supporting the DEI, kudos to you. If any of these stores don't fall under what you stand for as far as the DEI, that is perfectly fine. It's your choice, your decision. But please don't get in my comments section and talk about DEI as far as these stores are concerned. It is everyone's choice to decide where and how they want to spend their money that they earned. All right, so let's move forward. Now, I was always a big shopper at Mood Fabrics. Now, I heard there's one in LA, but I only know of the one in New York, and it's mainly because when I was watching Project Runway religiously, they were shopping. It was filmed in New York, so they were shopping at the one in New York. I've actually been to that one. I went to that one probably around like 2006, somewhere around there. 5 or 6 is around the time frame that I went to that one. Excuse me. At the time, I had a friend, and him and I used to go shopping in New York all the time. So whenever I did buy any clothing, it would always be in Manhattan. Or Franklin Mills Mall, or King of Prussia, or something like that. But as you know, New York has a fabric district, a very large fabric district. And so we would go up there to the fabric district because we would get material. Now, Anthony used to wear suits that I personally couldn't make because I didn't know how to make men's suits and men's robes. Well, I used to make men's robes, but the kind of like the normal basic ones, the cassocks robes. Those were the only ones that I could make. But he still wear these little specialty robes, and so he would go up there and get his suits made and robes made, actually from the same place that Bobby Jones used to get his stuff from. And then doing that, we would go to Mood. I would always have to run into Mood. I had to get at least one thing from Mood. I just had to. So I would go there. So Mood is still a place that we can shop. And also keep in mind, you can still shop at Michael's. Michael's have a lot of places throughout the country. Michael's have increased their inventory as far as material. I like to think that they knew about these closings coming soon, so that's probably why. But I've lived in cities where Michael's didn't sell material, versus I also lived in cities where Michael's did sell material. Like I said, so Michael's is still an option, so don't forget about that. Hobby Lobby is still an option. When I just went home for a couple of months to Delaware, there was a brand new Hobby Lobby. We had never had one. There was a brand new Hobby Lobby that had opened up. It was big. It was a two-story two-story store that was amazing, and they had a lot of material. I was in there a little overwhelmed because their fabric section was larger than any of our Joann fabric stores that we had in Wilmington or in Delaware. So it was amazing. I didn't stock up on anything, but that's still an option. Also, let me say this. Don't forget, there's Walmarts that still have material. They don't just have the fat squares like I hear a lot of people saying. They still actually have reams of, reams of, or rolls, as most people might know it, of material. Like they still have it. You can still get upholstery material. You can still get fashion or apparel material. So they don't just have the fat squares, but they still have other material. Now, I know it's hard to get somebody to come to that cutting table. However, they do still have, that's still an option as well. One of the other places I've been kind of going back to is Fabric Depot. Fabric Depot, they actually sell different types of fabric. They're an online store. What I would suggest though with any of these online stores, because one of the issues I'm having is that they don't ship everywhere internationally. So although St. Thomas is considered to be domestic because it's U.S. Virgin Islands, when it comes to like stores and things of that nature, it's considered to be international. Why? I don't know, but some things have to go through customs, not everything. And so I find that to be interesting because a lot of these stores will ship to Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Guam. Some are states, some are territories, but they won't ship to the United States Virgin Islands. So just make sure that whatever you do, again, scroll down to the bottom, click on shipping, and see if they ship to you. I also seen where some of these stores don't even ship to all states. So keep that in mind as well. Another store that I've been kind of looking at is the online fabric store. That's another store that does sell apparel store. So if you're a sewist, you can check them out. A lot of these stores are in the mid-range of pricing, which is why I chose to show you these. Now, Mood Fabrics is a little more on the higher end. I am going for a more luxury brand, which is why Mood is probably going to be one of the #1 stores I shop at, but these are more of the mid-range price range. The Fabric Wholesale Direct. Fabric Wholesale Direct. That's another store online that you can check out. Fabric Outlet. That's another store that I've been kind of looking at, thinking about maybe I'll send some pieces to someone in the States and have them ship them to me. The fabricstore.com. Now, a lot of these stores I know have the word fabric in it, so you have to pay attention to what I'm saying. Fabricstore.com. It's fabric store, but I chose to use .com because I don't want to confuse it with some of the other stores I've already mentioned. And Fashion Fabrics is another store that you can check out that has it. Now, also keep in mind with these stores, most of these stores, if not all of them, they allow you to purchase samples. Some of the samples could be a little pricey just for a sample of the fabrics, but if you buy multiple pieces of fabric, that actually brings down the cost of the shipping. Some of these places, the fabric samples are free and you only pay for shipping. Some of these you have to pay for the actual piece of fabric as well as the shipping. One of the things I also like about some of these stores is that you can purchase even quarter pieces if you need it. I personally would never need a quarter piece. I don't even like to buy anything under a yard, even if I don't need a yard. I don't even like half yards. To me, it's not worth it. However, some of these stores you can buy a quarter if you need it. Now, there is another popular store that I've been hearing about for the last couple of years. I personally think they're overpriced. I'm not going to personally ever buy from them. And it's called Blackbird. I know a lot of sewists on this app like Blackbird. I personally think Blackbird is overpriced. But Blackbird also has some materials that these other stores don't have. So if these other stores don't fit your aesthetic and Blackbird does, by all means, do not shop there, because I personally won't ever shop there. Now, also, don't forget, I did talk a little bit about the fashion district in New York and the smaller one that's in Philly. But don't forget, there is a large one in LA as well. There's that fashion district. I did speak with Joann that most of these stores do not have any online stores, so you will have to go there. As I know a lot of people are also worried about, the quality, or not being able to feel the quality of the material, which is why it's important to also read the reviews when you're shopping online. However, or buying a swatch. But don't forget about them as well. And there was one more. I did hear about something called Fashion Fabric Haute. Fashion Fabric Club. I briefly heard about that one. I didn't get a chance to look that one up, but I heard about it on someone else's video. But like I said, you have to keep in mind that big box stores close. Some of them close, some of them rebrand. I mean, John Hancock's was John Hancock Fabrics. Then it changed to John Hancock's. Then it changed to just Hancock's Fabrics. Then it changed to Hancock's before it finally closed. And in each one of those stages, they filed bankruptcy. So just because one store closes doesn't mean there's not going to be another store open. More than likely, there is another store that's coming. And I don't know exactly when all the stores in Joann Fabric are going to be closed, because, you know, I heard stories at first that it was only going to be about 500 stores, and now it's supposed to be like all 800 stores. Then I've also heard stories that are 1,000 stores. I personally don't care. I didn't care enough to look it up. But the fact remains is that there are going to be other fabric stores that are open. But let me put this one bug in your ear before I go. How about opening your own fabric store? Being your own fabric distributor. There's not enough of us as melanated folks, black folks in this country. We don't even own any fabric direct stores. Now, I will say this. I looked into that out here in St. Thomas. Now, it's not feasible for me. For one, getting the inventory here on the island, that's the problem. It's a slow process. Sometimes those things can be delayed in transit. They can also be delayed in customs, because if I'm buying in bulk, it's definitely going to go through customs. If I'm buying small, it's not going to go through customs. So that's one of the issues that I would have here. And then when I looked at the rent of the buildings, if you can find one, is really, really highway robbery, especially considering they're still part of the United States. There's also options of opening up what is called container stores here. Also highway robbery. Now, I thought about opening up one. Excuse me, I think I got bit by a mosquito. I thought about opening up one to run my business out of. I've been speaking with someone who has Connect, and the rent of it on it is fairly pricey. But I thought about opening up one as my studio. But I would not be able to open up one, I'm going to be honest, for my studio, as well as having one for storage. Because I don't want to sew in my home. I think it's a distraction. I think it really should be separate from your home. And I'm kind of at a point that I'm tired of, you know, having just one room in the home to do everything, sew and make content and things of that nature. But then I thought about maybe coming back home and opening up a fabric a wholesale store in the States. So that's an option. You know, maybe it's time for you sewists to maybe stop doing content or sewing per se, and just be a distribution center. Another thing I want to leave you with, I am a crocheter, as most people know. I can knit as well. Knit takes longer for me, but I'm a crocheter. I did not look up any places to buy yarn from, because I do buy yarn from Michael's. I do buy yarn from Joann Fabrics, but honestly speaking, I don't like their yarns. Their yarns to me are dated. Even their signature brands are scratchy, so I don't buy a lot from them. I actually buy more of my yarns from Hobby, Hobby, Hobbii. I like theirs. They sell a bunch of different varieties of yarn, so I tend to like to go there. So, and but I'll buy some here and there. And another thing for me, I don't like a lot of stash. I know, you know, there are people on this app that like to go live and have their big stash in the background and stuff like that. I personally don't. I am that person that I don't like stuff sitting, that's a bunch of stuff sitting in my background. That's, because to me, that's money. Excuse me. That's money sitting on a shelf. And that's, to me, wasted money. And especially with the time that we're living in, or the times that we're living in, I just can't see me having 100 skeins of yarn in my background that will never be used. Why? I can't see me having 100 reams of fabric in my background that would never be used. Just to say I have it. No, me personally, I buy what I need and that's it. Now I'll buy a little over. So say for example, I need, let's say 8 balls of yarn to do a project. I'm gonna buy 10. But 9 out of 10, when I finish that project, if I only use 9 and not all 10, that one ball is going back. Because I'm not going to sit there and keep having and say, oh, I'll find a project to make later. I personally can't do that. That's just me personally. I don't like it. Kudos to y'all that do. Some of y'all's backgrounds look amazing. But me personally, I am not that person. When I need material, if it calls for 2.5 yards, I'm going to buy 3. Sometimes I may buy 3.5. Sometimes I even may buy 4. Now, granted, those cut yarns can't go back. Once it's been cut, it can't go back. I'm okay with that. But I definitely am going to find something to use those other pieces for. Now, I can do a video to show you what I typically do with those pieces of yarn. Fabric. But just me personally, I don't like a whole bunch. So with that being said, with all this being said in this video, I just wanted to do a brief video. I didn't even want it to be this long. I just feel like we have to stop as content creators beating people up on social media because one thing fits for you. Because like I said, it doesn't fit for everybody. Let's have a solution. If we're going to talk about the problem, let's offer our viewers a solution. And so that's just what I wanted to do. Oh, wait a minute. I can't end this video because I did something, y'all. I want to give you another solution. Oh man, I will be remiss if I didn't share this other solution with you. I did something. I was so desperate for material because we only got 2 fabric stores here, and I'm telling you, they're not good. And I went and ordered something, and I said, I'm going to try something. And I'm going to show you later. I haven't done the video on it yet, and I will do one, and I'll put the video up. But how about thrifting your material? There are thrift stores that sell material. How about recycling for your materials? That's an option as well. Guess what I also learned? Your panties and bras, underwear, things of that nature, is made out of what? 9 out of 10 is cotton. Now, they're starting to get cheap, these manufacturers. They're using polyester. But old school is cotton. You know your bed sheets are cotton, right? Why go buy some sheets? It's sometimes cheaper than buying material. Go buy some sheets. Make yourself some panties and bras. Go buy some sheets. Make yourself a nightgown. I'm a nightgown girl. I don't wear pajamas. My pajamas are only worn around the house to chill in. I have to sleep comfortably because it's the way I was raised. That women sleep in nightgowns. How about using that? And there was one more I think I had. Give me a second. Let me look. So no, I was going to talk about non-traditional ways of getting material. And those were the 2 non-traditional ways. You can go to your local thrift stores, get the material as I stated, and you can do things like recycling or upcycle, whichever word you want to try to use, or whatever you want to use, or things like bed sheets, curtains, things of that nature. You can use curtains and make slip covers. You can use curtains to make pillows for your couch. Like, there's different things you can do. So what I can do, if you want me to, I can do a video talking more about it and showing you as well if you would like. So if you would like, drop a comment and let me know. So I love you all. Thank you for lending your ear to my video. If you find this video helpful, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. I am still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, as you know, especially after rebranding my business. Also, I do have another page. It's Copper Hue Mississippian.
Copper, Copper, Hue, Hue, Mississippian, Mississippian. It's not going to be all things genealogy. It's not going to be all things American history. It's basically going to be a niche channel. So when I'm going to be talking about things that are not concerning sewing, I will do it over there on that channel. So please, can you go over there and subscribe to that channel so I can build that channel up as well. And if there's any future videos you want me to do on this channel or even on that channel, I have a video over there now. You can drop that comment in that video as well. But until then, I love you all. Thank you for coming back, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah.